U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar in Washington, D.C. yesterday. The two leaders discussed various issues including key outcomes of India's G20 presidency. They also emphasized on the importance of cooperation ahead of the upcoming 2+2 dialogue. The meeting came just hours after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said he was sure that Blinken would raise the issue of the killing of pro-Khalistan separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar with Jaishankar. The Pentagon has said that the American soldier Travis King will be undergoing medical evaluations. This will include mental health tests. This comes a day after King's arrival in the United States after he was expelled from North Korea. 23-year-old Travis King was held in North Korea for over 2 months after he crossed the heavily militarized border dividing the Korean peninsula. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg is on an unannounced visit to Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. He said that Ukrainian forces are gradually gaining ground in their counter-offensive against Russia. During a press conference, Stoltenberg said Russian troops are fighting for Moscow's quote-unquote imperial delusions. He added that there are contracts in place that would allow NATO members to replenish their depleted stockpiles while providing ammunition to war-torn Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin met Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov on Thursday. The meeting comes 3 days after Kadyrov published a video. The video shows his teenage son beating up a prisoner accused of burning the Islamic holy text, the Quran. The Kremlin has refused to comment on the incident. Putin's meeting with Kadyrov also comes amid speculation over his health. Pan-African Unity and pro-Russian activist Kemi Seba mobilized a large crowd in front of the French military base near Niger's capital Niamey yesterday. The crowd called for France's rapid departure from the coup-hit West African country. Seba has a long history of arrests and expulsions from European countries over charges of inciting violence and the promotion of anti-Semitic hate speech. Last weekend, French President Emmanuel Macron said that French troops would begin the process of withdrawing from Niger over the coming months. Lebanese Armenians gathered near the embassy of Azerbaijan in Lebanon on Thursday. They protested against Azerbaijan's military operation in Nagorno-Karabakh. Many of the protesters held up banners and Nagorno-Karabakh flags. Protesters also clashed with security forces who were preventing them from getting closer to the embassy. They threw objects at police officials who responded with tear gas. Azerbaijan took control of Nagorno-Karabakh last week in a military operation. Police officials in the Netherlands say a gunman killed a teacher and another woman at a university campus in Rotterdam City. A 14-year-old girl is also seriously injured. Officials say that prior to the shooting, the gunman burnt down the house of one of the women who was fatally shot. Dutch police personnel arrested the attacker on the university campus. The motive behind the attack remains unknown. Elon Musk visited the US-Mexico border in the state of Texas yesterday. He live-streamed his visit on his social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. Musk said the visit was meant to highlight the crisis of thousands of migrants crossing over from Mexico into the US. He also called for an improved legal immigration system that welcomes hardworking and honest migrants. Musk's live stream had a total viewership of over 12 million people. Thousands of women took to the streets of Argentina's capital, Buenos Aires. The protesters demanded greater abortion rights. The women chanted that they wanted free, legal and safe abortions. Some protesters said that women across Latin America will band together to demand greater abortion rights. Several Japanese people protested on the streets of Tokyo yesterday. They demanded that the government prioritize combating inflation over military expansion. The protesters urged the Japanese government to follow its pacifist policy and not get swayed by the US strategy of military projection. Australia is set to retire its entire fleet of TAIPAN military helicopters. This is after the helicopter fleet suffered multiple crashes between 2022 and 2023. Australia currently operates 47 TAIPAN choppers. Canberra plans to replace them with 40 US-made Black Hawk helicopters in a deal estimated to be worth over $1.8 billion. In climate news, torrential rains flooded homes and streets in central Greece yesterday. More than 250 people were evacuated after getting stranded due to the flash floods. Officials say that the storm caused a power outage in almost 80% of the homes in the region. Heavy rainfall from a tropical storm caused flooding in Vietnam's capital, Hanoi. Vehicles were stranded after flash floods raised water to above the knee level. Authorities have issued landslide warnings in several parts of Hanoi. Incessant rains caused flooding in the South African city of Cape Town. Officials say 8 people were killed due to electrocution in 2 separate incidents. Hundreds of homes in Cape Town were waterlogged, which left people stranded and in need of rescue. Residents in Japan's capital, Tokyo, were asked to stay indoors due to an ongoing heat wave. Temperatures in Tokyo reached 33 degrees Celsius in a heat wave that's been ongoing for almost 90 days. Schools and several offices were shut down in the city. Japan's weather department says that the heat wave is likely to continue for at least 1 more week. The Latin American nation of Bolivia is facing one of its hottest winters on record. This has led to a prolonged drought in Bolivia's high-altitude cities. The government is sending tankers to provide fresh water to people suffering from dry conditions. The heat has turned some of Bolivia's most fertile regions arid, threatening the livelihoods of over 1 million farmers. A severe drought is affecting wildlife in Brazil's Amazon region. Low river levels and warm waters have caused thousands of fish to die. The dead fish are also contaminating the water, making it unfit for use. Water levels in one of the Amazon's tributaries has fallen by almost a foot per day since mid-September. Britain's landmark Sycamore Gap tree was cut down yesterday. Police officials say it was a deliberate act of vandalism. Authorities have arrested a 16-year-old boy suspected of chopping down the tree. His motive remains unknown. 1 in 6 wildlife species in Britain are at risk of going extinct. This is according to a new study. The report says that human activity and rapid infrastructure expansion are wiping out wildlife habitats in the UK. The study also suggests that Britain is one of the world's most nature-depleted countries and has already lost more than half of its biodiversity. A new study shows that Switzerland's glaciers are melting at a record rate. Global warming has caused the glaciers to shrink by 10% in the last 2 years. The research says that in these last 2 years, glaciers lost more ice than in the last 3 decades combined. August saw the highest amount of snow melting in Switzerland since records began. In business and tech news, the striking workers of America's United Auto Workers Union have made a counter-proposal to car maker Stellantis. This comes just a day before the union is set to extend their strikes to additional facilities of the Detroit 3 automakers. Meanwhile, their talks remain active with the other 2 automakers, Ford and General Motors. The UAW has been demanding a pay hike of 40% from all 3 firms. Opening statements have begun over a case against electric vehicle maker Tesla in the US. The automaker faces allegations that its autopilot driver assistant feature led to a death. In 2019, a Tesla Model 3 car suddenly veered off a highway, struck a palm tree and burst into flames. This was when it was in autopilot mode. The accident killed the driver and seriously hurt 2 other passengers in the Tesla. Meanwhile, the automaker has also been sued by an American civil rights agency. The lawsuit says that Tesla allows the severe harassment of black employees at its office in the US state of California. Black workers at the company's plant are allegedly subjected to racist slurs and graffiti. Tesla has been accused of failing to investigate complaints of racist conduct. Instead, it has allegedly fired or retaliated against complainants. A US judge has ruled that the conglomerate General Electric will have to face a shareholder lawsuit. This was after the company's efforts to get the suit dismissed fell short. The suit accuses GE of concealing risks related to its power business. The shareholders accuse the company of blindsiding investors over billions of dollars of unexpected exposure. The judges urged both parties to reach a settlement. Fortnite game maker Epic Games is laying off more than 800 employees. This is about 16% of its staff. The gaming company has also decided to divest its online music platform Bandcamp. Epic CEO said that the move will help the company, quote-unquote, get to the other side of profitability. The U.S. state of California has raised the minimum wage for fast food workers. They will now earn a minimum of $20 per hour. The workers will also have a greater say in setting workplace standards. In turn, fast food labor unions have decided to drop their other demand. This was to hold fast food corporations liable for violations committed by their franchisees. A U.S. judge has rejected a bid by Uber, DoorDash and Grubhub. They had requested the court to block a law in New York City. The law sets a minimum wage for app-based delivery workers. It will require companies to pay delivery workers nearly $18 an hour. This will further be raised to nearly $20 in April 2025. Data showed that inflation in Japan's capital slowed in September for the third straight month. This was mainly due to falling fuel costs. Tokyo's core consumer price index rose 2.5% in September from a year earlier. Analysts say that despite the fall in inflation numbers, the rising prices of food and daily necessities will continue to put pressure on the Bank of Japan. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella is expected to testify against Google on September 2nd. Nadella is likely to speak about the obstacles his company faced due to Google's dominance. This comes over the US government's antitrust trial against the search giant's owner, Alphabet. The government has argued that Alphabet illegally paid $10 billion annually to smartphone makers like Apple and carriers like AT&T. This was to make Google the default search engine on devices. Norway will refer a fine it has imposed on Meta platforms to the European Data Authority. This means that the fine on Meta could be widened to the whole of the European Union. Norway has fined the Facebook owner $93,000 per day since August 14th. This was for breaching user privacy. Moving to sports, here are the updates from the Asian Games. The Indian men's team won gold in the 50-meter rifle three-position event. Aishwari Pratap Singh Tomar, Swapnil Kusale and Akhil Sheoran had also broke the world record for the highest cumulative score of 1,769. China took silver and South Korea finished third for bronze in this event. India bagged a silver at the women's 10-meter air pistol team event. Isha Singh, Palak and T.S. Divya fell short of the gold by just 5 points. China clinched gold while Chinese Taipei finished third to settle for bronze. India also won a silver in men's doubles tennis. The Indian duo of Saket Maineni and Rajkumar Ramanathan lost to their Chinese Taipei counterparts 6-4, 6-4. In the first set, India had the upper hand with 8 successive points on serve. However, the clinical Chinese Taipei duo made no mistakes thereafter and finished the game in just 1 hour and 12 minutes. India beat Japan 4-2 in men's hockey at the Asian Games. Abhishek scored a double for India. The other goals for the men in blue came from Mandeep Singh and Amit Rohidas. Japan hit 2 goals in the second half but were unable to catch up to the Indian lead. India will next play Pakistan on Saturday. In other sports, we start with cricket. India have made a change to their World Cup squad. Spinner Ravichandran Ashwin has been included in the team. He will replace Akshar Patel, who is suffering from a hamstring injury. Meanwhile, Australia have also made last-minute changes to their World Cup squad. Batter Marnus Labuschagne has been called up by Australia. He will replace Ashton Agar, who has been ruled unfit to play due to a calf injury. In football, police officials raided Spain's Football Federation headquarters yesterday. This was after authorities launched an investigation into corruption and bribery allegations. Prosecutors filed a complaint over alleged illegal payments made to referees by the Spanish Federation spanning almost 2 decades. La Liga club Barcelona has also been named as a suspect in the investigation. Bayern Munich captain Manuel Neuer returned to training yesterday. The goalkeeper was seen back on the field after a gap of almost 10 months. This is because Neuer was recovering from a broken leg due to a skiing accident which occurred last December. In tennis, Alex de Minaur advanced to the second round at the China Masters. Australia's de Minaur beat England's Andy Murray 6-3, 5-7, 7-6. De Minaur was trailing 5-3 in the third set but rallied back to pull off the win. His next match will take place on Saturday. Formula One's governing body rejected the application of New Zealand's Rodin cars to compete in the sport. The firm had proposed manufacturing its F1 cars in New Zealand. It also planned to reserve one of its 2 seats for a female driver. Formula One has not had a female driver since 1976. In fact, last week, Britain's Jessica Hawkins became the first female to test an F1 car in 5 years. HBO chief Casey Bloys has said that his shows will not be created with the use of artificial intelligence. Bloys said, and I quote, "I don't see a world where a bunch of executives say, okay, ChatGPT, give us a great True Detective season. It's not a world where I'm interested in working." The HBO chief was not a part of the negotiations that recently took place between the striking Hollywood writers and studios. Bloys applauded the resolution and said that the issues under discussion were existential. Suits star Patrick J. Adams has said that he regrets posting behind-the-scenes pictures from the show during the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strikes. Actors have been told not to promote their projects while the Hollywood Actors Union is still on the picket lines. Adams said, and I quote, "I foolishly and thoughtlessly let a trip down Suits memory lane distract me from the very real and ongoing fight." He added that it was an embarrassing oversight for which he is incredibly sorry. SAG-AFTRA has been on strike for close to 80 days now and has failed to reach a contract with major Hollywood studios. Film producer Jason Blum has spoken about the release date of his latest movie, The Exorcist Believer. He said, and I quote, "The one thing that scares me to death is Taylor Swift. We have moved our date and bowed our head to Taylor Swift. It was too risky to see if Exorcist was going to take place or not." Blum moved the release date of the new Exorcist movie as it was clashing with Taylor Swift's Eras Tour movie. The Eras Tour movie is set for release worldwide between October and November this year. The 2004 romance fantasy movie 13 Going on 30 is now set for a musical adaptation. Screenwriters Josh Goldsmith and Kathy Yuspa are teaming up with musicians Michael Weiner and Alan Zachary. The original movie follows the life of a teenage girl who wishes to turn 30 and wakes up as an adult. The 13 Going on 30 musical will have its world premiere in October in London. The People's Choice Country Awards wrapped up in the city of Nashville in the US. The most nominated artists included Blake Shelton, Kelsey Ballerini, Carrie Underwood, and Luke Combs. The Country Music Icon Award went to Toby Keith. The Male Artist of 2023 award went to Jelly Roll, while Lainey Wilson bagged the Female Artist of 2023 award. The Bachelor Nation star KAITLYN Bristowe revealed that she suffered a panic attack ahead of the 2023 People's Choice Country Awards. This led to her missing the red carpet event. Bristowe took to Instagram and said, "Today was rough, but I pushed through. Was supposed to go to the People's Choice Country Music Awards tonight, but my body had other plans. She added that this was her 4th panic attack. In order to calm herself, KAITLYN Bristowe said she did a light workout, a relaxing facial, and is now resting. Rolling Stone singer Mick Jagger has hinted that he might leave his $500 million music catalog for charity, but not for his children. During an interview with a news publication, Jagger said, and I quote, "The children don't need $500 million to live well." The 80-year-old singer said that he would like to use the catalog's money to do some good in the world. Mick Jagger has 8 children, the oldest one being 52 years old, and the youngest one is 6 years old. Backstreet Boys singer AJ McLean has opened up about his sobriety journey. The singer took to Instagram and said, "Today is a very special day as I am 2 years sober." He added that he battled self-esteem issues his entire life and learned a lot. AJ McLean also tried to motivate other people who are struggling with alcoholism. He said if his post helps another addict out there, then he'll consider his job done. Singer Cher has been accused of hiring men to get her own son kidnapped. Her son, Elijah Blue Allman's wife, has alleged that 4 men removed him from a hotel in New York in November 2022. Allman and his wife are going through a divorce and had allegedly met at the hotel to try and save their marriage. Cher's representatives have not said anything about the controversy yet. Actor Michael Gambon, famous for playing the role of Albus Dumbledore in most of the Harry Potter movies, has died at the age of 82. Gambon's family issued a statement saying the actor died following a bout of pneumonia. He's survived by his wife and son. Michael Gambon took up the role of the famous character Dumbledore after the death of actor Richard Harris in 2002. Gambon was cast as Dumbledore in 6 out of 8 Harry Potter movies.